All right, so we're waiting on our next guest here. There he is. Caleb Pressley joins the show. Fresh out of hanging out with Hasbulla. Caleb, can you hear us? Now he can hear us, probably.
Yo.
What's up,
What a
Caleb?
hat. Where are you at, Caleb?
True. Florida, right here.
Okay.
About
Yep.
an hour north of you.
So how was Hasbulla?
He's the king, the best, the greatest there ever was.
Now, you said there was, though, when we were talking a little bit off, that there's a big barrier, like language and all that.
Yeah, language-wise, in terms of us not being able to communicate.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it was a bit of a barrier.
So did he 100% like? Were you at all times be like he's in on this, or were you like we're just we don't even know what's going on here?
Oh, we didn't know what was going on at all. We did a lot of like nonverbal communication. He's a roughhouser for sure. He's a very aggressive guy. But we didn't talk at all really for the entire time outside of the interview. But because I started trying to talk to him at the beginning, but then you'd have to have every single thing translated. So you say it to him, and then he doesn't know what you're saying. Then you look to the person, the translator, and then he says to Hasbulla what you're trying to say, and then Hasbulla talks back. It's just a long process. So you eventually just give it up. I mean, we obviously did it for the interview, but it was mostly nonverbal.
So I know you were like super excited going into it. It's like we got Hasbulla, so was I. Now that it's over, did it live up to everything you thought it would be? Yeah,
I mean, I think it's going to be pound for pound probably the best Sunday Conversation I've ever done for sure. He's just an absolute menace. I mean, he was my white whale for a long time. My white whale was Fat Joe, because there was like a period of time where Fat Joe was like the most popular rapper of all time when I was growing up, and then he just like basically disappeared into thin air. And then I was always wondering, where is Fat Joe? Why is he not making music anymore? But then he just kind of came back, and then so I kind of changed my white whale to Hasbulla. And so whenever I was able to make it happen, yeah, I was obviously very excited. And he is probably, I would say, after being with him, the most famous person I've ever been around. I mean, every single place he was going, it was a circus. I mean, it wasn't only people wanting pictures. It was like people losing their minds, people having out-of-body experiences seeing him. So
you've been around a lot of famous people for you to say he's the most famous guy you've ever been around.
Yeah, no shots at you on your birthday, Dave. But
I'm not. You've been around far more famous people than I have. That's a pretty big statement.
I mean, he's like panic-inducing famous. When people would see him, they would literally they couldn't control their emotions. They were coming up to him, touching him, like they just could not believe it. He actually has a big problem on his hands, because he's small, and so people, when they want to fight him, and people are like messing with him. And he doesn't take pictures with girls. So he has, half the people who come up to him are girls, but he's Muslim. So it's part of their religion where they don't take photographs with girls. So like they'll come up and he just waves them off, because he doesn't speak English, but he just waves them off. They have no idea what just hit him. And so it's kind of a huge flex, honestly. But
how big of a crew does he roll with for security?
He has one guy right now. I mean, he has a crew of probably 3 guys that he was with the entire time. One of them was a security guy. And, I asked him, obviously Hasbulla is an expert fighter, but still with that amount of publicity and attention, you probably need an extra couple guys.
So when is this finally dropping, the whole thing?
I hope to have it out this week. It's the language thing is holding it up at all, because I have to. And so we hired a translator. I don't know if you know that. Well, you do, because he looks like Glenny Balls.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so basically we screened translators, because he only speaks Russian, or so we thought, and I only speak English. So in order for it to happen, they needed a translator. I first told Loud, Sean, and Kelsey at Barstool, I was like, I need to hire a translator. And they're like, and I need him to look like Glenny Balls. They're like, well, you can't exactly cast translators based on their looks. It's probably frowned upon. But so we ended up just screening a bunch. I just had like interview calls with probably, a bunch of different translators. And I just picked the one
that looked like Ballsy, the closest.
Yeah, exactly. And so when we got over there, it turned out he doesn't even speak Russian. Hasbulla speaks a thing called Chechen.
Oh.
Chechen. And which is like a blend of Russian, and he's from Dagestan. And so it's like a blend of those two languages. And so even our translator pretty much didn't understand anything he said. So I had to get all the footage. Anyways, the reason I say that, the reason it's holed up right now, I have to send all the footage, have it translated to make sure that I'm actually capturing what he
says. Huh.
Right.
Do you think he's ever actually going to fight somebody?
I think I know he would in a heartbeat. Like he fought me like 10 times. I know I posted one of the clips, but I probably caught no less than 20 shots while I was there. I mean, he's just an absolute menace. Like he's a terror to society. When we were eating dinner, we couldn't talk, obviously. So he was just putting toothpicks in his hands like he was the Wolverine, like between his fingers. And he would just, when I wasn't looking, he would just stab me in the side with them.
So he just hits people all the time? Like that's not – that's what he does?
He has a lot of aggression in there, dude. And also he commands such respect because he's so small. I realize this, that whenever he walks around, he has to walk so fast to keep up with everybody that he just looks like he's just in power because he's always like jog walking.
Yeah.
So he just has a very physical, powerful presence.
Interesting. I can't wait to see this. So then what's your next white whale? By the way, Fat Joe seems like an easy get. Like I have his cell phone number. I see him all the time.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of dropped out of the way. I would still do him in a heartbeat. We actually almost had him for the fall run of Sundae Conversation, but it just didn't pan out at the end for scheduling. So hopefully one day we'll have Fat Joe as well. But we actually have – sometimes I get nervous about saying the guests.
Saying it because they drop out? Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that we'll have Machine Gun Kelly next week. So we're getting some
big guests. Yeah, Machine Gun Kelly would be good too. That's an interesting one. But I'm psyched for the Hasbulla one. So you were in Dubai, right?
Yeah. So basically what happened.
Was that the first time you were there?
Yeah, for Dubai. Yeah.
How was it? Everyone always tells me I should go there.
I wouldn't.
Okay, good answer.
Yeah.
Why not?
Literally, people make Dubai sound. It's like every time you have to go to Dubai. You have to go to Dubai.
It's very interesting. It's in the Middle East. I mean, it's right smack dab in the Middle East, so it has the Middle Eastern culture. But it's like they try to basically create a Las Vegas or a Miami, but it's also very conservative. Like the culture is very Muslim, so it's like you don't have any of the honestly probably fun stuff that's happening in Miami and Las Vegas.
Why is everyone always telling me to go to Dubai then?
Probably you're rich.
Okay, I mean,
it's worth seeing if you're. No,
I'm not. I don't want to take a 300-hour flight to be like, well.
It doesn't have any history. They just built it in like 1990. So I mean, it's like they don't have their own food. They don't have their own. They just a city that was in the desert. They just plopped down billions of dollars into.
Huh.
What was that car thing you guys did?
It's in the desert, so we were doing dune buggies in the desert.
You have some unbelievable still shots, like the previews, like you with the goggles, him, the punch. I mean, we said it. I think it'll be the biggest one because he's never done an interview. And all your Sunday Conversations are great anyways.
Yeah, I truly think, and I don't want to overgas it because, it's just bad habit to do because I haven't seen the footage yet, but just being there, there's no reason why it shouldn't literally be the biggest. I mean, it should be the biggest thing I've ever done, I hope.
All right.
Not because of me, because of Hasbulla.
Are you enjoying doing this thing and just, doing the Sunday Conversation and being away from New York and all that?
Yeah. I mean, even when I was in New York, all my work was out of New York. So moving to Florida really wasn't that work-wise. It wasn't big for me because I'm on the road anyways. But I do prefer Florida over – I wore his hat today to show you, but it's better in Florida.
Are you staying there all in the summer too?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have a place through the end of July here, and then I'm going to decide what I'm going to do. But before I leave, I do want to say so when I left, I gifted Hasbulla with a bunch of Barstool stuff, and I brought an entire bag of Barstool gear, all small. I didn't know how big he was going to be. I kind of thought like he would be the size of a
Za,
like smaller than Za, but Za-ish.
Yeah.
He's not. He's like he's 3 feet tall. So he's 1 yard tall. 1 football yard. He's 3 feet tall. So he's like small. So anyways, none of that stuff fit him. That jersey, that if you saw the photo I posted on my Instagram, that's a small.
Yeah, it's draped over him.
Yeah. Anyways, I gave him all this Barstool stuff. None of it fits him. I told him, actually, funny story. This guy came up to him, one of his fans, and brought him a Nintendo Switch with 4 video games. He was like, hey, a big fan. I bought you this brand new Nintendo, and here's some bunch of games. So then right after the guy leaves, he pulls out his phone. He goes on Instagram Live, and all his friends who speak his language are like laughing. They're like dying laughing. I'm like, what is he saying? Like he's selling that Switch. He's selling it for less than market price. He's just went on his Instagram. So I told him when I give him all the stuff, I know it's not going to fit you, but you can feel free to sell it. But he gifted me back this tennis shoe, which is it's a combination of me and Hasbulla, if you can see it. Done by a custom artist on Air Force One, and then he signed it right here. So we're going to auction this off, and all the and this is the Hasbulla decision, approved by Hasbulla. We're going to auction this shoe off, and all of the proceeds are going to go to the Barstool Fund for a small business.
I love that. Who is an artist who created a half Caleb, half Hasbulla?
So he has an NFT collection called Crypto Hasbulla, which all the NFTs are just people who are famous but then blended into his body.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. So anyways, the link for this is barstool.link/Hasbulla, and you can be on the pre-signups to be notified when the auction goes live.
So that would be a one of one, I assume.
It would be a one of two because there's other sneaker that I am keeping. I have to keep them.
Damn. So you can't even wear them. So it's a straight collector's piece.
Straight collector's piece. Yeah, you would never want to wear these.
Okay. Half Hasbulla, half Caleb, Air Force One. Things that you just never thought you'd see a couple months ago.
That's a one of one. And I don't know how many autographs he's probably signed. This is going to be his first interview, and I don't know. That might be one of his first autographs.
Damn.
Does he not do interviews, or you were the first one he wanted? How did that work? What happened with that?
I don't know. He said his manager, obviously I never spoke to him the entire time, still haven't, but his manager said that they just have never accepted an interview request before.
And
he liked Sundae Convo, or what was his?
Did they know what Sundae Convo was, or just like, yeah, we're going to take this guy?
I kept posting about him, and then actually shout Robbie Fox. Robbie Fox on his podcast was with Dana White. And he's like, I have questions for Dana White. I texted him. I said, ask Dana if he can put me with Hasbulla. So he asked on the podcast, and Dana said that he would do it when he comes to the United States. But then Hasbulla, his people, DM'd me off his Twitter. And they're like, hey, unless you want to wait for the United States, we're going to be in Dubai next week. So I said, I'm there.
Crazy. So did he know, I'm guessing no, because of the barrier, the satirical nature of like your interviews?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. They thought that could have been like 60 Minutes showing up.
I mean, I will say, though, for this one, I did treat it a little bit more like 60 Minutes because if I just dropped like a satirical Hasbulla interview, but people actually want to know answers about it.
Yeah, true.
Like people want to actually get some information. So this one probably is going to be more informational, but I did. And also a lot of the humor of it is going to be lost in translation as well. So this one actually is going to be a straight up interview, but I still think it will be funny.
All right. Well, we'll obviously promote the fuck out of it when it comes out. So thanks for coming on. Welcome back.
Yep. See you guys.
All right.
Thanks, Caleb.